Hi guys, welcome to today's video. I'm going to be going over the 3 easiest things that you can do to eat less salt. To reduce your sodium intake, I'm going to be using salt and sodium interchangeably, though they are different. Salt contains sodium plus chloride. Sodium is the electrolyte that actually in your body works to control fluid balance and what is responsible for high blood pressure. Let's just call a spade a spade. Sodium or salt makes things taste delicious. That's why companies use it, because they're trying to sell you a product. And if the product doesn't taste good, you're not gonna keep buying it. Tip number 1 to eating less salt. The biggest thing you can do is just to eat out less. This shouldn't be that hard, and I'm just saving you money here. If you're buying a lunch at work every day, or if you're buying breakfast on your way to work, just packing a lunch, eating breakfast at home, that's gonna significantly reduce your salt intake. Tip number 2 is to switch from processed foods ready-made in the frozen aisle that you just have to microwave. Switch those out for homemade items. You really need to control the salt that goes into your food, literally by making it yourself. And if your argument is that you don't have time, there are now convenience items that have less salt or sodium. So at the very least, if you're not willing to stop buying ready-made food items, read nutrition labels. You need to become food literate. Learn label lingo. If you can read a good nutrition label, no one can fool you. Trust no one, honestly. If you see something on a package, don't trust it unless you've seen it on the nutrition facts with your own eyes. That is like a very big piece of shopping advice for you. Now that so many people are struggling with high blood pressure and hypertension because salt makes things taste good, companies are starting to realize that it's a marketing move to market items as lower in salt and low salt options. So you can't trust those claims anymore. You need to read the nutrition facts. You might see things on labels saying reduce salt, low salt, reduce sodium, lower in sodium. The thing that you really want to look for is no salt added and low sodium, because lower in sodium, reduce salt, 35% less salt than the regular version. These are all relative values to whatever sodium amount, salt amount is in that specific brand's OG product. So it doesn't mean anything. The biggest example of this is to look at soy sauce. The regular version of soy sauce has probably, well, some versions definitely have over the actual adequate intake amount of 1,500 milligrams. Usually they're around 1,000 milligrams of sodium, which is way too high, especially for the serving size. And then if you look at the reduced sodium version, it's still devastatingly high. So read that nutrition facts. If you're not going to be making food yourself and you're going to be buying prepackaged foods, you have to read nutrition facts and look for no salt added and low salt. And if you're deciding between two things and they both have significantly high values, just put them back on the shelf and walk away. And the final tip is to eat less baked goods. And you're like, Kirsten, baked goods are sweet. We're talking about salt here. And that's a trick of the trade, okay? So just because things taste sweet doesn't mean they don't have a lot of salt. So that's one of the things that's a little bit tricky. We think that if we have to reduce our salt intake, we just have to reduce our intake of salty foods, but the number one source, I would say, of hidden salts in our diets comes from baked goods, breads, things like that. How can we put this all together? Say you work away from home. Does anybody do that anymore? You're not working at home anymore. You're traveling to work. You're grabbing a muffin for breakfast, and then you're buying Wendy's at lunch. Literally, all you have to do to go from 4,000 milligrams of salt a day to 2,500 milligrams, which is pretty close to recommended levels. All you have to do is maybe have oatmeal instead of that muffin and pack a lunch. Bam. I have a little bonus tip for you. It relates to eating less salt, but not specifically. This bonus tip is to increase your intake of potassium-rich foods. So fresh fruits and vegetables, because potassium has been shown in research to counteract the effects of sodium on raising our blood pressure. Potassium is another electrolyte. Sodium has a negative charge, potassium has a positive charge. Negative, positive charge cancel out. There's some effect there. Some studies to suggest that if you eat more potassium-rich foods, this will counteract our excessive sodium intakes. So the frozen section is not completely bad. You can find frozen fruits and vegetables there. If you turn over the nutrition facts, you'll see that they are high in potassium, a great potassium source, fruits and vegetables. There you go. Wham, bam, bam. if you want a recipe that's really high in potassium, check out my bean salad recipe. Beans, legumes, pulses are great for potassium, so check that out. That wraps up this video. If you enjoyed, if you learned something, give this video a like and subscribe. See you guys at the next video. Bye guys.